Wanted to do this video on Leo Strauss's book, Philosophy and Law. And it's quite a good work. It's foundational for an understanding of his philosophy. Pardon me, I'm sucking on some Jolly Ranchers. One of them's cherry. It's pretty good. I like sucking on cherry. That's how I am. But his book is really good. His friend was surprised when he read it, or he wasn't surprised, I guess. He was surprised at how frank Strauss was about his atheistical view of the Enlightenment and about his own commitment to that Enlightenment as an atheist. And Gershom Scholem, of course, was the friend that expressed this view. And Strauss at that time had been preparing to or considering taking a job in Jerusalem as a philosopher of religion. And he was not accepted for that position. Scholem thought that it was not surprising that he was not, or Scholem thought it was not, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm not sure if I'm giving the Hebrew pronunciation of that right or not. But he was not surprised that Strauss was not accepted for that position since he was an atheist. And, but I'm not convinced that Strauss was an atheist, but he inferred atheism from reading the work. I did not infer atheism from reading that work of Leo Strauss's, and by the way, I identify my own philosophical position with that of Gersonides in that book. If anybody's interested in what I believe or the philosophical perspective I have, it is that of Gersonides, or Gersonides, or however it's pronounced. I accept that view of philosophy. So I was able to find my own philosophical position in his very nice work there, which deals with, particularly I like it because it deals with the philosophies or different viewpoints of Judaism, and a work that I can't recall the author's name now because I suffered a trauma to my head recently, and so my memory has been affected by that. I'm trying to think of the name. It's been a long time. Julius Gutmann. Gutmann is treated very well by Strauss in that particular work, and interpreted, in my view, better perhaps than he's been ever been interpreted, Gutmann's philosophies of Judaism. But Strauss reveals much in that work about his belief, for instance, in the necessity or the need for the the social legislation of Moses. He strikingly, in that work, announces a view of Moses as being a rather unique type who could use his imagination and his scientific reasoning simultaneously and present ideas to people about morality and philosophy that was apparently, he thinks, unique to that particular philosopher, that he could philosophize both imaginatively and scientifically in a way that presented moral truths to people that were convincing to them and were this rare combination. So it leads me to believe that Strauss did not accept Spinoza's critique of the imagination and Spinoza's critique of the Bible in light of him suggesting that much of it is imaginative, because he showed in that work that that critique is inadequate. And he showed it through his interpretation of Moses. And I have reason to believe that he had particular human beings, many perhaps, not just one, in mind, as having exhibited and lived that kind of life and actually presented that kind of truth. One of them was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So he wasn't just speculating. He was looking at the world and saying, I have seen people who can present this kind of truth, both imaginatively and scientifically, so I know they exist. It's empirical, but also logical. And so that's something to be admired in the work. Gutmann, the analysis of Gutmann, the defense of the Mosaic social legislation as serving the evolutionary stability of the Jewish people is very strikingly carried out in that work. And generally its analysis of what law is, that law has a human element to it, but that it also has this idea of revelation, because revelation provides certain truths that you wouldn't be able to prove otherwise, like human freedom. So that revelation goes beyond what we could prove as human beings. You can look all over the universe, and I have, and you can look all over your life, and you can look all through. You can say, I feel like I'm free. But religion begins with that premise, that is not to be questioned, you see. So I think there's a lot that's respectable in it, and if I had been Strauss's friend at that time, I would have said to Shalom, it doesn't appear that Strauss is an atheist. It appears that was a question to him, and that he was therefore a philosopher. Maybe he didn't get hired in Jerusalem because he was a philosopher, because he didn't take the dogmatic view God does exist, or the opposite dogmatic view that God doesn't exist, that he could exist in the interstices of those two positions is pretty important, because many people in the university today, with their excessive and I think imaginative hostility toward religion, are not like Leo Strauss. And they should strive to be that way, because he would teach them a kind of moderate questioning of God, which does not either deny the existence of God. I think it's hard to deny the existence or prove the denial of the existence of something that not one of you who hears me can actually even define. Think that through as you're giving your 2 minutes of hate to the world's religions. Theodore K. Think that one through.